أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي آمين يا رب العالمين. Assalamu alaikum everyone. I hope all of you are doing great. Now we are going to learn making the negative statements, be it negative sentences or negative questions or statements with some emphasis in them. Okay, so it's all going to be negative. So far we have done all the regular positive statements, we have done making questions. All right, now it's time to learn the negative statements. Okay, so without further ado, let's ask help from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make it easy. So Rabbi Yasir, Wala Asir, Watamim bil Khair, Amin Ya Rabbal Alameen. Alright, now I have divided this entire topic of negatives into three lessons. Alright, so first of all, I'm going to tell you how to make negative sentences. Alright, so it's going to be the regular sentences that are going to be negative. For example, it's not true. Okay, and then we are going to study the next lesson, which will be lesson 8b, and in that I'm going to tell you two special formations that give a lot of emphasis to a negative sentence. All right, and finally we are going to wind this topic up in lesson 8c, when we are going to study some special words that are used for emphasis. All right, in making a negative sentence or a question. All right, so that's how this topic is going to be studied. All right, now this is our summary table. All right, and summary illustration rather. And as you can see, I've got a lot of stuff here, but it's a very nice summary table as always. All right, now our lesson 8a would be only concerned with the portion here, with this portion. Okay, so I'll be telling you the regular statements here, how to make a negative jumla ismiya, jumla failure of past tense. All right, negative past tense and negative present tense. All right, and then we are going to study this portion in lessons 8b and 8c. Okay, so at this moment I'm only going to tell you what I have written in this top portion right now. Okay, so you can see a rhombus over here, and you can see that there are four corners, and you've got jumla ismiya, then past tense, and then present tense. All right, now you only need to remember four words for jumla, for a regular statement. All right, so be it jumla ismiya or jumla failure, you just need to remember four words to make a negative sentence, a regular negative sentence. All right, and what those words are, they are ma, la, in, and laysa. Okay, let's zoom it up. Ma, la, laysa, and in. Okay, all right, now let's deal with jumla ismiya first. The most important point for jumla ismiya, negative jumla ismiya, is that the khabar has to be nasab. Okay, so for example, if you say al waladu salihun, this is a jumla ismiya, the boy is pious. All right, as you can see, this is your mubtada and this is khabar. Okay, and if you want to make this a negative sentence, then you are going to turn this khabar into nasab. So it's going to be I'm telling you what it's going to be. Okay, so it's going to be laysa or la or in or ma waladu salihan. Okay, that's how it's going to be. Just remember, khabar has to be nasab. Okay, now what are the four haruf? You've got ma, la, laysa, and in. Let's study ma first. Okay, mallahu ghafilan. Now this, the word Allah is mubtada and ghafilan is your khabar. Okay, and it is nasab. Why? Because of this ma, and the fact that this khabar is nasab tells us that this ma is actually the negative ma, because if you remember, we have already studied three different kinds of ma's up till now. Okay, and I'll be elaborating on them, or rather I'll be summarizing them again after this slide. Okay, so we have already studied 3 different kinds of ma's so far, and this 4th ma that we have studied is the negative ma. And how are we going to know about it? We're going to know it if our khabar is going to be mansub or nasab. Alright, so mallahu ghafilan, Allah is not oblivious. Okay, alright. Next we have la. Same rule, the khabar has to be nasab. La waladun salihan. The boy is not pious. Okay, nothing much to explain here really. Okay, now what you need to take care of while using la is that your mubtada should be nakra. Okay, that's what you need to take care. All right, take care of. All right, next you have in zaidun salihan. Zaid is not salihan. Okay, is not it's not pious. Okay, once again, khabar is mansub, right? Okay, then next we have laysa. Laysa. All right, now laysa has the same rule that the khabar has to be nasab. For example, laysa waladun salihan. All right, and the unique thing about laysa is that it has different forms according to the past tense. Okay, so for example, if somebody is saying alastu, or for example, am I not, all right, then the word used is going to be lastu. All right, so all of those past tense patterns are applicable here for laysa. So you'll have laysa, then laysu, all right, as you can see over here. Let's get the pen out. Laysa, and then you've got laysu for whom, all right, so whom laysu. Then you've got over here lasta. Lasta would be anta lasta, all right, antuma lastuma, for example, right, and then lastum lastunna, all right, alastu, not alastu, alastu would be a question, all right, so lastu lasti, that's what I've shown here with the harakat, lastu lasta and lasti, all right, over here. All right, so these are the 3 forms that lastum, that lasta can be in. All right, so the only unique thing about laysa is that uh, it can mold itself according to the past tense suffixes. All right, so that's what you need to remember. Otherwise, the entire concept remains the same, that the khabar has to be in nasab form. All right, so we are done with our jumla ismiya. All right, now what happens in past tense? If you are making a past tense, for example, forget about this ma at this moment. Simply study this sentence. Fatahta baba. Now, I hope that you recognize this portion here. Fatahta, fa'alta, nasarta. What is it? Anta. All right. This is the pattern for anta. So anta fatahta. All right. Fatahta means opened. You opened. Okay. And what did you open? Your al baba. This is your khabar or simply maful. All right. Why? Because it's in nasab form. Fatahta al-baba, you opened the door. Opened. Okay, so this is past tense. Anta fatahta, or simply fatahta al-baba, this would be your past tense sentence. You opened the door. Okay, and if you want to make it negative, simply add ma to it. Okay, so it's going to become ma fatahta al-baba. You didn't open the door. Okay, ma fatahta al-baba. All right. Now here, this khabar, okay, the door, this is nasab, not because it has been affected by this ma, but it is mansub because it's maf'ul. Okay, it's a detail. So, and what is it a detail of? Fatahta. Okay, so you opened. What did you open? The door. Okay, so this is nasab because of this fatahta. It's a maf'ul of this fatahta. Okay, and when you have to add the ma in past tense, you just do it. Okay, no other changes have to follow. So ma fatahta al baba, you didn't open the door. And then you've got present tense. All right, so all right, present tense. Now you use la, and at times you're also going to find ma. Okay, So for example, you've got la a'budu ma ta'buduna. All right, this is an ayah from Surah Al-Kafirun. Okay, so I do not worship. Now I hope that you have recognized this a'budu and this ta'buduna pattern recognition for present tense, fail mubzare. Okay, so this is your pattern for present tense. A'budu. Here, ta'buduna. A'budu is ana a'budu, and ta'buduna is antum ta'buduna. Okay, so what do we get? We get la a'budu ma ta'buduna. Now this ma here is not the negative one, it is actually your ism mawsul ma. Okay, so the relative pronoun ma. All right, so what is it? I do not worship and obey whatever you all worship and obey. This is what it means. Okay, la a'budu ma ta'buduna. All right, and then an example for ma yash'urun. This is present in the opening ayat of Surah Al-Baqarah. Okay, in the second ruku. Okay, so that's where you're going to find them. They do not realize. Ma. Okay, ma, they do not realize. Okay, so I hope that this portion, this top portion of this summary chart is clear to you, and we're going to now study some examples of each of these scenarios. All right, and then we're going to wind up this lesson, and then we're going to return in lesson 8b, where we are going to address this part of the this part of this summary lesson, of the summary chart. Okay, all right, so types of mas covered so far. The nullifying ma, that was used for more stress. All right, so for example, you had any of the haruf nasab. For example, you have inna is for stress indeed. Okay, and then if you add it with your ism, it causes this ism to be nasab from innal a'mala. Okay, then if you want to add even more stress, then you are going to add up ma. That is something that I call nullifying ma. Okay, that is used for more stress. And why do I call it the nullifying ma? Because it nullifies the effect of this inna on its ism. Okay, so it was innal amala, and if you make it innama, it will become rafa again, innamal amalu. Okay, now I have elaborated this concept with a lot of examples in lesson 3 of section B. So if you have missed it or you haven't watched it yet, then I would really encourage you to go back there and watch it. All right, next you have the connector ma, or the relative pronoun. This is once again from section B, last lesson of section B. All right, so if you haven't watched it, you can always go back and watch this lesson. Lahu mafis samawati wal arz. Okay, so for him or to him belongs whatever is in the skies and skies and the earth and land. Okay, so this ma here is the relative pronoun. All right, then you have got the questioning ma that we studied previously in the previous lesson, and it means what? Okay, ma ismuk. All right, and then as I had elaborated earlier, if you've got a negative harf in the jumla ismiya, then that negative harf is going to cause the khabar to be in nasab form. Okay, so Zaidun Salihun, Zaid is pious. Ma Zaidun Salihan, this is your khabar and it has become nasab. Why? Because of this ma, and it means now that Zaid is not pious. Okay, all right, now with a couple of examples for each of the haruf. Okay, so we have ma, and as you can see that I have given you a couple of examples over here, and let's study them. First of all, this ma can be used to make a regular jumla ismiya negative. All right, and it can also be used for past as well as present tense. Okay, all right, so let's study the examples. Forget about this ma at the moment. Okay, so you've got anta salihun. Okay, so it would be anta salihun would be you are pious, and if you add this ma, then it's gonna cause this khabar to be nasab. Okay, and it's gonna become ma anta salihan, you are not pious. Okay, now it's a very regular statement with no emphasis or anything. Okay, a very regular negative statement, ma anta salihan. Then you got, we studied this earlier already, ma fatahta al baba, you didn't open the door. Okay, Alright, ma haza basharan. This is not a human. Okay, now all of these examples, well, most of them actually, just a couple of them are not Quranic examples, but most of them are the Quranic examples. Okay, this is something that the wives of the ministers had said back in Hazrat Yusuf's time when they saw him. All right, and they that's what they this is what they said when they looked at him. Okay, because of his beauty and his looks. So mahaza basharan, this is not a human. Okay, notice how this word basharan is nasab, and that's how we are confirmed, we are sure that this ma is the negative ma. Okay, next you've got ma sami'a zaidun. Okay, now what's happening here? Why is, you would expect this to be in nasab form, all right, because I told you that because you might have formed a pattern in your minds that the second ism is going to be nasab, all right, but that is not the case. Why? Because this is not a jumla ismiya, this is a jumla fi'liya, and this sami'a is your past tense. All right, sami'a, sami'a, sami'u. All right, remember we did this already. So this is your past tense, and this is the huwa sami'a. All right, and right after this this fi'l, you have got an ism which is in rafa form. So this simply means that this is the exposed file. Okay, exposed file. So it means that Z heard. Okay, that's why this Zaidun is not in nasab form, because you might have formed a pattern of the second word being in nasab form in this statement. Okay, so that's why I wanted to elaborate this thing. Okay, ma sami'a Zaidun, Zaid did not hear. Okay, I hope this is clear. All right, then ma rabihat tijaratun. Okay, now this is once again a Quranic example, and first of all, let's see what's happening here. Rabihat, what do you remember from Rabihat? I hope that you're saying this is Hiya, okay, because she. All right, remember Hiya Rabihat. Fa'ala, fa'ala, fa'alu, fa'alat. Rabihat, sami'at, nasarat. Remember? So this is your past tense for Rabiha. Now what does Rabiha mean? It means to bring benefit. Okay, so Rabihat means uh, she or it brought benefit. Now the next word is in rafa form, so it obviously means that it is your exposed fa'il. The word tajaratun is grammatically feminine in Arabic, therefore you are going to use the feminine hiya version of verb with it. Okay, so the trade, or rather only trade did not bring benefit. Why did not? Because of ma. If there was no ma with it, all right, if this were only rabihat tijaratun, then it would mean trade brought benefit. Okay, roughly, or simply trade was beneficial. All right, in English you don't say it brings benefit or something like that. Okay, you have the word beneficial for that. So but in Arabic you've got this verbal form. So trade did not bring benefit. Ma rabihat tijaratun. Okay, now in Quran Pak we have ma rabihat tijaratuhum, their trade did not bring any benefit. Okay, so I hope that these various situations of ma are clear now. Okay, next we have la. It means not. For example, la waladun salihan, the boy is not pious. Okay, now what you need to take care of, or rather remember, is that its mubtada should be nakra. Okay, so this is something that you should remember while making sentences with la. All right, la ta'lamuna. Now once again, this la is used for present tense. Okay, and of course with jumla ismiya. Okay, so this was our Jumla Ismiya, La Waladun Salihan, and our khabar was Nasab. Then we have La Ta'lamuna. I hope you remember this Ta'lamuna. This is your fail muzari for Antum. Antum Ta'lamuna. Okay? La Ta'lamuna. All of you do not know. Okay? Alright. Next we have La Taktubina. Now, I hope you remember this pattern. this was for your tafulina, and this is for anti. Okay, you do not write. Kataba yaktubu. Okay, this is the form for this kataba. Kataba means he wrote, yaktubu, he writes, right? And then if you complete this entire cycle till anti, you're going to land with taktubina, la taktubina. That is why knowing your patterns of fail muzare and fail mazi are really important. Okay, so you need to keep on revising them and practicing them all the time. Okay, as as much as possible. So la taktubina, you. Now this you is actually referring to second person singular feminine. Okay, anti. And anti taktubina. So la taktubina. You do not write. All right, now there is another formation with this la, and it is the formation of neither nor. Okay, it's quite simple, really. Okay, what do you have to do? La dash wala dash. All right, so neither dash nor dash. It's quite simple. Okay, not this and not this. All right, this is what it shows. And it's quite simple. I mean, you are going to be able to identify it if you get one. Okay, so neither nor. For example, la hawla wala quwwata illa billah. Now, in itself, this is another formation that I'm going to elaborate in the next lesson, inshallah. Okay, la la hawla. Okay, it is another formation for stress, and this is going to be discussed in the next lesson. But here, simply appreciate how you have the neither nor formation. La hawla wala quwwata illa billah. You know what illa is, harf ataf. All right, we did that already. So oh, yeah, and I'll be explaining the meaning of the word hawla and how this statement is quite profound in its meaning and its formation in the next lesson. Okay, so simply observe the pattern of neither nor over here for this, for now. All right, next you've got another neither nor pattern. La khawfun alayhim. Khawfun means fear. La khawfun alayhim walahum yahzanun. Neither is fear upon them, nor are they grieved. Or yeah, all right, so this is what. Next we have Laysa, and as I mentioned earlier, it can be used with past tense and Jumla Ismiya. Okay, how is it going to be used in past tense? By adopting the shape or the pattern of your past tense patterns. Okay, so you got Laysa, then Laysu, Laysat, Lastu, Lasta, Lasti. Then I've got Lastum, Lastuna. Okay, and we'll be studying their examples here in this column. So laysa waladun salihan, the boy is not pious. Okay, ja'a means to come. Okay, so ja'al qawmu, the people came. Laysa zaidan, but not Zaid. Okay, laysa Allahu ahkamal hakimin. All right, now I know that the ayah is different. All right, but we'll study the formation that is used in the ayah in the next lesson. Okay, here this is a very simple and a regular sentence. Okay, is Allah not the wisest or the most just of all the wisest or just people? Now this is your muzaf fragment. All right, ahkama is a pattern to show the best. All right, and then you've got your form of hakimin over here. Okay, so best of best, that's what you can remember. This is, we'll be studying all these patterns too in this section, inshallah. Okay, so alaysallahu ahkamal hakimin. All right, so ahkamal. Okay, this is what I wanted to point out. Remember, if you simply say Allahu, forget about this, Allahu ahkamul hakimin. This is a simple jumla ismiyah. All right, so it's a regular sentence that Allah is the wisest of all the wisest. All right, or yeah, all right, so that's what. But if I say, or if I want to make it a question, then I simply, or simply I, if I simply add alaysa, all right, then it's gonna be in nasab form. All right, so originally it was Allahu ahkamul hakimin, but if I've added alaysa, then it's gonna become alaysa Allahu ahkamal hakimin. But we know that the ayah says Alaysallahu bi ahkamil hakimin. Alright, why is that? We are going to study in the next lesson, inshallah. Okay, next you've got Ya Nisa an Nabiyyi. Alright, now this is our muzaf, and the muzaf is being called out to. Alright, it is your munada, and we know that our munada is going to have a nasab form if it is muzaf to. Okay, so this is what you can observe here. Next, lastunna ka ahadim minan nisai. Okay, O wives of the Prophet ﷺ, all of you are not. Okay, ka is your harf jar for similarity. Okay, ka ahadin, like one of, you cannot exactly translate it word to word. All right, so you'll have to resort to the English theme. All right, so you can understand this entire thing in Arabic, but you'll need to make some necessary changes if you want to translate it to another language. So all of you are not similar to anyone from the common women. Okay, so this was, as you can see, an example of lastunna. Okay, all right, last we have in, and as you can see, it can be used in past tense, and it can be used in jumla ismiya, and if you want to put some stress, you simply follow it by illa. Okay, for example, in yaquluna illa kaziban, they do not speak except absolute lies. Okay, so you see there's stress in this sentence. Okay, then you've got a regular sentence. In waladun salihan, the boy is not pious. Then you've got in aradna. Now aradna once again is our jumla fi'liya of mazi. Okay, past tense. Aradna would mean we planned, okay, or we intended. All right. In aradna, we did not intend or we did not plan. Illal husna. All right. So we did not plan anything except extreme goodness. Okay. Then you've got the example of in haza illa qawlu bashari. So this is not or nothing but the man's word. Okay, now you can now appreciate that you can understand certain things or certain statements in a much better way when you are reading them in Arabic. But if you try and translate them in English or your own native language, you kind of have to struggle a bit to capture all the essence, all the important points, and all the entire essence that you can feel in Arabic. Okay, so that's a normal thing, and this is why Arabic itself is such a wonderful language, really. Okay, so well, our examples are done, and we are done with this lesson. And in the next lesson, 8b, we are inshallah going to study the three important formations rather. All right, and these are those formations: ma illa, wallahu bi ghafilin, and then la nasra. All right, and what they are, I'll try and explain all of these in a huge detail and with a lot of examples, inshallah. Okay, so till that lesson, barakallahu li wa lakum fil Qur'an al Hakim. Allah Hafiz.